So we've got CL Brooks.
Hello,
What are you telling me, man?
I'm here. You have found me live in my sitting room.
Uh, Drive the Starling Jaguar out in Zanzibar. I flex cigars round in Panama. I told them that I'm going to the bar.
How's lockdown been treating you?
This is third lockdown now, isn't it?
Mm.
First lockdown, I had too much fun. Second lockdown, it all got a bit like long, like with not doing anything and not having much money. But I've been alright. I've been alright. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Um,
How's that affected your musical process? Because for some people it's been bad, some people it's been fine.
I think like everybody, I hit a wall at some point. Definitely, like there was point where maybe in the beginning, I was really flying shit out. I think I maybe recorded quite a lot of performance in Hearts and Diet during that first early spring, summer sort of lockdown, um, and got a lot of work done and I had everything and then released it all. And then come the end of the second one, shit, man, it was getting hard to write, because you can't go out, you can't do anything. It's hard to be inspired. But we got shit. Yeah.
Definitely get that, man, because without that sort of external things happening, it can be hard. It can be
Yeah,
difficult,
like
definitely.
if I can't go to a fucking art gallery or a restaurant or some shit, like, I can't inspire myself. Or even if I just can't just go down the road and it's not normal, like it just feels weird. For a
Yeah.
while, it was inspiring, like just everything being empty. But then after a while, you get bored of it. It's like living in fucking like Zurich or something.
You're very, very different with it. The style that you come with is very different to everyone else. The
Thank
way that you deliver it and your lyrics as well. And I think what stands out to me most about it is your personality. Your personality very much comes through. It feels like you're not conforming to a particular genre like a lot of people do, and that's what I admire as an artist. You get me? So, do you want to talk me through how that sort of developed? How did that start?
I think I was just thinking about it this morning. Like, really, I've been writing lyrics and songs like for like 13 years now. So it's not something I immediately jumped into, but only within the last 5 years since 2015 is probably when I've taken it really seriously. Like I got to like a point where I got like I lived in Tanzania until 2013 as a teenager, and I made music out there, and I was on radio out there and shit. But it was a completely different style of music, and under a different name and shit. And then I had to leave because I finished school. So I came back and I spent 2 years just sort of chilling, trying to do some uni stuff, and then that didn't really work out. And I got involved in retail and just started rapping on the side. But what makes me different is, I guess, not trying to be different. I think just trusting myself, and I doubt myself a lot personally in my own personal life, but I never once doubt myself artistically. Like it's always it's. I've had a zillion people tell me something ain't right, and I haven't listened to that, and I've done what I've wanted to do. You know.
Mm, definitely, and that's the thing that's going to take you the furthest. And I respect you saying that you kind of do have doubts in personal life because that's very honest, and that's also reflected in your music, I think, as well.
Course, like, but
I
it would
mean,
be weird for me to sit here on my own sofa in my own home and not be a person like that. You've caught me here, like I'm a human at the end of the day, like as well as a rapper, as well as a performer, as well as whatever you want me to be.
where were you brought up, first of all, and what was that like for you?
I was born in Aylesbury in 1994, and at the age of 3, I moved to Tanzania for 5.5 years. My dad was working with Guinness, so that's why we went there. And then after 5.5 years, went to Uganda for 2.5, then Ghana for 2.5. Then we came back 1 year when I was in year 8. My dad was like off work, he was like redundant or something. And then he got a job like quickly again in a year, and we were back in Tanzania. And yeah, so I spent most of my life living in Africa, and I've only been living in this country again since 2013. I've been living in London since 2015. When I came back, I moved back to basically where I'm from, this place called Berkhamsted in Hertfordshire, near Hemel Hempstead. And yeah, lived there for a little bit.
What was it like in Tanzania? Because that's a very that's a very interesting story, man.
Oh, what, just like living there?
Yeah, what was it like living there?
It's amazing, man. Like, you know, you live very well for very cheaply. You have fruits in your garden. You can go, like, you live by it's sunny. It's a beautiful country, man. You know, I'm only just now getting adjusted to this country being my home as much as that's my home. Like, I've spent more time of my life in that country than I have in this country. I think this year it comes to a point where it's an equal amount of time spent. And I'm eventually starting to feel more at home as like an English person, despite always being an English person, but just like not having a typical English background and stuff. It's always like, it's made it more, it's just taken longer for me to understand typical aspects of life here, which are completely different to the ones that I grew up with, where people just have, it's a different culture.
And what's an example of something that you've had to shift to?
Not saying hello to people. Like, in this country, people, if you're walking down the road in Tanzania in the morning, if you see somebody, you say hello to them. You say good morning. Doesn't matter like if you're in the biggest city, or like if you ever make eye contact with somebody, especially if they're older than you, it's a mark of respect to greet somebody or to even try to help them. But in this country, you kind of mind your own business. So I've had to learn to mind my own business a lot. Like, me being such an open person in the past, when I first came back, got me in some trouble essentially. But like now I know, like, in terms of British culture, we don't fucking talk to each other. Well, at least in Southeast England. I know in up north, it's amazing because people are friendly. But in London, people are just like, don't talk to me. I think you're fucking crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, yeah, cool.
I mean, like, for example, the other day, someone sort of said hello to me when they were walking past, and my first thought was to sort of like take fighting stance. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, why?
And we take the amount of friendliness that we receive in this country for granted. Like, like, we're so safe and so lucky to be in this country where, like, you can walk around and feel safe at 2 a.m. So, like, for somebody to say hello to you, that's an even better thing. Like, it took me a long time to adjust with, like, understanding, like, how some people in this country are, in my own opinion, a lot of people don't understand how fortunate we are as a nation, like, for the things that we have. Despite all the terrible things that are happening, there's some really, really bad, and we've got a shit government. It's not as shit as other governments. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not fucking under some dictatorship or nothing. We actually have a good existence out here. It's a good existence. So,
completely agree, man. We're lucky to be here. I've never actually talked to someone who's lived in Tanzania before. So, just from your perspective, what was your sort of like routine like daily?
You can't walk to school. You get dropped off to school by your mum and shit. Like, you can't just, like, your house is behind the wall, like, because of the situation that you're in. You're not a regular citizen. And yeah, it's like, then coming back to this country, like, where you're a normal person. I'm not saying, you're not a better person out there, nothing like that, but you know that there is a gap, and you know that there's something wrong, and like, you're like unintentionally part of that. Either way, like, if you're just part of that system, like, but like here, when you return to normality, where like your money is worth English money, and like, you don't get a big house that's paid for by fucking whoever your dad's working for and stuff. It's really interesting. Like, it just puts stuff in perspective for you. I don't know. That's what I love about being here, is being a normal person. Like, you know, not having to, being able to walk around and shit. That's so cool for me. Like I could walk around out there, but like I can't walk around with my fucking chain out and my watch out like this at like 2 a.m. out there. You crazy? Like, no, like, you know what I mean? I love that country. That country is my home, but like here I can do that.
Initially, what drew you to music in the first place?
Yeah, probably not being good at sport. And my girlfriend just said 50 Cent. Like, yeah, 50 Cent. It's about massively like before I got into 50 Cent and that, like I like Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit and shit like that as like a fucking little 6-year-old. And then my dad got me 50 Cent and I would listen to Eminem and stuff. But I was aware of rap music from like a young age. Like when I was like 5, he like showed me like Straight Out of Compton and stuff. And like he's always put me onto cultures and shit. Like he showed me like Pulp Fiction when I was very young. But probably why I got into music, because I could have, despite being quite tall and slim, I'm not very good at sports. Yeah, so there was no other way to get girls other than be creative, innit? So you just had to like, I'd just do art and music and shit like that and try steez like that rather than be on the football pitch. And that's it as a child, like as a teenager, I guess. Like now I'm in a fucking 7-year relationship. It's a bit different. I do it because I love it. But originally it's just one of those things that you do for fun at school, you know?
And so what was the turning point for you where it started to become serious rather than something that you did to kind of get girls?
Well, I mean, like I stopped doing it to get girls when I started going out with my girlfriend. So that's different, like, you know what I mean? But I made one mixtape full of stolen beats called Super King. That was on my first tape on SoundCloud. And then shortly after, like maybe like a year or two after, I made this thing called Persia Music Volume 1. And like that was like entirely like self-funded and helped by my friend Ben Hardy, OG Bloops from fucking Soul Tapes. He helped me put it together like physically. But yeah, I had to buy all these beats and do all this stuff and record it with my boy Z's in Bristol. So then I did that, sold it. It took a while, but I was involved in some retail job that like took like 3 years out of my life, and I got mad stressed. So there was 3 years between that and my next project, which was Habits with Keena. And that was cool. Like that did all right. Like, you know, we did some shit. And then I think I was making a little bit of stuff. I think I then made Red Snapper, like that was kind of popping. And then in October of last year, I got fired from my job. And it was a job that I'd spent a lot of time and effort and, you know, emotional dedication and like, a lot of like, you know, I put in work on this job to try and better myself and try and get myself a career out of it. And I fucked it, right? And then that day I just fucking went off in October and I made all those songs with Dylan and all those songs with Keena, like, you know, like Snake Soup and Igloo and fucking, what's it called, and Michael Parkinson, Holy Fountain. All of those shit just came from like, oh, fuck, like, I've just been fired. I better fucking make some music now because you're getting old and you always said you weren't going to do this if you turn 25 and now you're 25 and you're just fucking up. So I had to. I did it because I had to. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I felt really pressured to have to do something to show people that I wasn't just fucking around this whole time. Like, you know, like there was something worth it, all this time wasted. I had to do something to prove it to the people that loved me and cared about me, that I wasn't just being a fucking loser, you know? I had a lot of time in those years, like in the beginning, like when I wasn't making like that 3 years between two projects. And it's just like, why did I do that? I could have been where I am now at 23 years old, not 26 years old. But I chose to take 3 years out of my life to do something that I didn't care about. I'm at a point where I feel confident in myself and secure in myself. And that's the thing. I don't feel like anybody can tell me that I'm not good at what I do, because I fucking am. Like, so you tell me that I'm not. You can't tell a good carpenter that he's not good at carpentry or whatever. Like, fuck, man, I'm fucking good at what I do. Like, that's it at the end of the day now. Yeah.
And that's definitely the main thing because then it all goes from there. Also, I
Yeah,
guess not so much the effect that you have on a lot of people, it can be the effect, like the big effect you have on maybe a smaller amount of people. You know what I mean?
very true. It's very true. I speak to people every day and stuff,
Mm.
and it humbles me, like being able to be. Hang on, let me just pass the drink. Being able to be in a position right now, like where I'm small enough and yet popular enough to have time in the morning to reply to everybody and to take time out of my day and just sort of like just be there and shit. That's important. And just like as much as I am such a braggadocious, arrogant, obnoxious person musically, I am in certain stages of my life as well, but like, I'm very humbled by all of this. Like it puts it in perspective. Like whenever I do something bad, I'm like, fuck, I've got so much to lose. So like I have to chill. You know what I mean? Like I have to be good.
In what way do you think you're obnoxious?
Musically, like the character that that my rap is like, it's not to give too much away, like, but like obviously no rapper is 100% their rapper. You feel me? Like I say everything I say, like I'm doing, other than the shit where I'm jumping out of a helicopter and stuff. But I say it with a way that encourages ignorance, and because sometimes we misconstrue. And now it's gotten to a point where I even have to be responsible. Like I have to think about if I say some shit that like could be a joke to me, it could mean that like it could kill you or some shit. Some other kid could take it seriously. Like, and I don't want to be that person. I'm in a point where I'm actually being responsible for myself, and like it's crazy. Like I've never felt responsible about anything in my whole life, but this whole thing I've just realized recently. It's like, wow, you spent so much time, and now you gotta hold your shit. You really gotta hold your shit. Like that's my signifier to show I've stopped talking as well. Like my joint.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I'll make the editing process.
Yeah,
um, you mentioned the character that you portray. So, to what extent do you think that it's a character or like an aspect of you?
no, it's me. It's me. It's just
Yeah.
that when I'm being me, I have to be like, like you get your rapper self, and then you get your at home chilling with your girl self, and it becomes a hard life to adjust for any person in the performance industry, where like you're having to juggle doing something like being in a caravan with a bunch of nutters throwing champagne on the floor one day, and then calling your mum the next day and being a good person. You feel me? Like you have to, because people are gonna misconstrue the way you are as a person because of your art and uh the way that you show yourself or the subjects that you may purvey. So you have a responsibility as an artist to fucking also be a real person and not be so evasive of all these questions, because in actuality it's art at the end of the day. It's more than just fucking being a rapper. It's art. Like
When you say shit like jumping out the helicopter, like half man, half Guinness, like they're sort of comical images. Like it kind of
yeah, there's a lot of imagery. Yeah.
it's really creative. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Eminem's sort of comic element. You know what I mean? So where would you say that comes from?
Not Eminem. I like movies, man. I like cinema. I spend a lot of time. I watch films like all the time. Like watch a lot of films. I've done a lot of stupid things as well. Like you know what I
Can
mean?
you
Like
mention
some
any of
things
them
like
now?
huh?
Can you mention any of them now, or is that it?
Nah, of course not. But like but it's just like but like you kind of just reinterpret it one way, like something that you've done in your life. Like you could just make it cinematic. Like you could fucking write it like it's a story, man. Like, and you can also just like have fun, and you can tease people, and you can spark people's imaginations. Like if somebody said it's like having a fucking like I think it was Shamel, Dark Stepper. She was like, yeah, it's like having sort of like a dream and somebody's telling you exactly what's happening. And yeah, it's just very first person in terms of like schematic, like writing and yeah, usage of like poetic devices and stuff. It's just being in the first person constantly a lot of the time as well.
So what's your creative process like?
When I'm writing music, I just like to put the beat on. And if I'm not feeling it, then it takes me 30 seconds to know. And if I am in the mood, then I know. And then just like I'll start to mimic sort of what kind of flow I want to do. I'll just kind of like sit there like, no, 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 no. And then I just start putting words to it, like a kind of melody or a flow in my head. And then it kind of comes like that. I'm often sat on my dining table. I like to be very caffeinated. I like to have a lot of cigarettes. I find it difficult to go to studios and write if I can't smoke a cigarette in the studio. Like cigarettes, yeah, it's a bad habit that I've formed where I may take breaks between writing and smoke lots of cigarettes.
Yeah, as an artist, I can relate to that so much, man.
Oh, it's such like a cliche and it's so pathetic, and it's something I really, really, really want to get a hold on because I can't, as somebody that has to use, fortunately over the last year, well, since March, I haven't had to use breath control much because I haven't been performing. But when I come back to performing, shit, man, I better do a couple runs before I go on because my lungs are gonna be different.
Yeah, but it's like one of them ones where it's like when you're writing and you feel like you've accomplished something, and then it's like you kind of like the cigarette's like your reward. Do you know what I mean?
For real. I use cigarettes as like a way to like spread out my day. I'll be like, I'm gonna have a fag and then have a shower, and then I'm gonna have a fag and then do this. It's really fucking pathetic.
No, but I'm completely the same, man. I've literally in lockdown just been chain smoking, man.
Yeah, what tobacco do you smoke?
Golden Virginia.
Okay, I'm an unbelief man.
And I believe, oh yeah, unbelief. That's like the next step for me.
Well, it's like a 50-50 thing. You either really smoke Golden V or unbelief, or if you're like some like next pothead that doesn't really smoke, then you're like, oh, I only smoke Pueblo or American Spirit, which is
Yeah,
cool. I like a lot of nicotine.
yeah.
If I kind of smoke actual cigarettes,
Yeah. No, they're just too big for me, man. I'm just like, I feel like I'm smoking a Range Rover.
or like a straight.
Yeah,
Nah, man. When I kind of get a Sterling Super King red, if not,
yeah.
it's like if I'm getting pissed and it's like Friday night and I just can't be bothered, I've got a bit of dosh. Yeah, easy chuck £9 on that 20 deck, and I'm just like,
What's your favorite moment, sort of, as an artist, so far?
what in my career? Or
Yeah, man.
I don't have one yet.
Mm.
I've had a lot. I've had a lot. My favorite moments are when I see something come together. Like it's never been like something like, oh, when I met this person or when I recorded this or when I did that. It's when everything formulates itself and like it kind of, because like any person, you get a lot of self-doubt. Like you'd be like, oh, well, I've got all this stuff, and then how do I collate it into a fucking tangible, cohesive project? And that's taken a lot of time to work on. And eventually when you've got that, and then after 6 months to a year or something, it could even be just 3 months, but like what it's like, if you want to get that shit fucking pressed, like that shit is gonna be a while. After 6 months to a year, something fucking comes in a box and you're like, what? And yeah, and then you open it and you're like, yeah, this is the physical shit. That's what I like. I like getting my shit physically. I have a little stack of everything I've ever done, you know. Just keep it there.
Mm. Yeah, man. And where are you looking to take it in the future?
To whoever wants to take it. I don't really for a while I just did it on SoundCloud for so long, and it was like a social media thing. You think about like all you're caring about is followers and plays, but now I really, really care about the financial aspect of it. So my end goal essentially is to be able to live off of this, be able to one day have a family off of this. And if I ever get that big money, I'd like to be like fucking Wiley and I live in Cyprus and just come back and do gigs whenever I wanted to. But but that's I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk me quickly through your last through Out to Lunch? Because that was a big,
After lunch.
yeah, that was a big tape, man.
After lunch, yeah, that was the I have all the projects of that. I released like 3 projects ago. So that was I was really during like the first lockdown when like everything started going off in America and shit, and we were all protesting and that. So that was a crazy time to release some shit because nobody else was releasing shit. But we bit a bullet for certain reasons, and like it wasn't out of any disrespect for anything. We were always there, and that's a side of the fucking point anyway. That fucking project was sick. We made that project like 3 years, like for like 2-3 years since I met him. And there's so many more songs that could have gone on it, but they just like got old to our ears.
Yeah.
And eventually that just came, and that just it's a project that always comes back, and like it's so much. As much as it's mine, it's also Conrad's. Like, my name is Conrad too, so like that's like why like me and him are tight. But like, well, for more than just reasons of first name, like we're like best friends, but we just happen to have the same first name. But yeah, Conrad's fucking like, yeah, that's our thing together. And I think what we're going to take OFL, like, because it's just a snazzy sounding name and the merchandise did so well, we'd like to like start making regular clothing under the OFL name. But that's something that's just in the future. Like for now, I've really got to focus on solidifying like myself and all the people I want to solidify, all my good friends and producers and fucking comrades who fucking rap with me through this shit. We have a responsibility to get our names up first, and then we can do all that fucking dumb shit. There's too many people who want to fucking make clothes and rap and fucking DJ and be a photographer and have a fucking OnlyFans. No, suck my fucking dick. You need to fucking do one thing and be fucking good at it. Like, that's it. So now I need to focus on that. And then when it all comes together, I'm going to have big shit. But, it's just, it's God willing, as some of your homies would say, you know what I mean? Like, I have obvious influences. I have friends of mine that heavily inspire me. Moriarty inspires me. Fucking Lee Scott inspires me. Apex inspires me. Trillion inspires me. And I've only met him once, and that was before I even worked with Blah. I met him as like a fan. Now, a lot of people out on the scene inspire me. I'm like the only person that's willing to say that people inspire me. Like, well, no, not really. That's unfair to other people, because some of people are all like, yeah. But I'm one of the few people that's willing to be open about this stuff.
Yeah. Most people are weird about that type of shit. Obviously, people inspire people. Like that's the way the world fucking works. Like
Exactly. And you know what? It's far better to look somebody in their eye and fucking say that to them than just stand around them like a fucking womble.
yeah, exactly.
Fucking smiling and shit. No, fucking,
Yeah,
all great people I know, like fucking all the guys at Blah and shit, like, and all the other great people I work with, we all look each other in the eye and say, yo, I fucking love what you're doing.
yeah,
We go, oh, I love what you're doing too. And we work, JD is the same, Loudhouse is the same. Everybody, Keena's my best friend, Conrad's my best friend, Maury's my best friend, and we like work like that, but it's like, we actually really, really appreciate what each other do, and we always have. Now we're at a point where people that haven't always appreciated what we wanted to be doing want to come and say, oh yeah, I've always appreciated what you did. No, you fucking didn't. I know, I see these motherfuckers, so it's cool. But there's a lot of people who really, really care about me. And that's the best thing, man. I'm in a brilliant position where like people are affording me the opportunity to achieve my goals, and they believe in me. And I believe in myself. So because I believe in myself, people believe in me. Like, I don't know. If this all fails, one day I'll look back at this interview and fucking cry. But like, that's how I feel. Like, I don't know.
And that's the most important thing, man.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where it's so easy to watch other people on Instagram or whatever it is. You know what I
It's
mean?
so easy to make your lifestyle accessible. It's so easy to show everything that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly, man. By the way, did you get my background as well? Because it's Brooke.
Oh yeah, like a Brook, yeah. I see. That's where my name comes from or something. Apparently the name Brooks is like a family that lived by a small river or some shit. I don't know.
I think that's about it, bro.
Yeah, we've had a good hour. What else you'd like to ask me, or would you like me to plug anything, or?
I would, you know what I would love actually is a little 16, if that's possible.
Fuck off. I can't, are you joking, bro? I can't do no 16 right now. You mad? I love you, yeah, but